Zaldrizes buzdaris costau.
Please follow me on social media because I need the engagement to be successful on YouTube. If you don't want to, then you don't have to. But I really would love it if you did. I love dragons and fire. And I love Hazard of the Dragon. All right, let's do this. I'm going to explain what happens to Meleys in the books at ROOKS Rest. And if you like this kind of content, slap a like on it, because a like goes on be 420, which is a weed joke. Okay, so in the books, there's this battle called ROOKS Rest. Hang on, I need to close my door. Now, I say books, but this event does not happen in the main story. It's actually book. But it is repeated in a few different books. War of Ice and Fire, Fire and Blood, Volume 1. Right? And we also have Rise of the Dragon, which is a retelling of Fire and Blood Part 1 with less words, more pictures. Right? The Battle of the Rook's Rest is one of the first incidents in this war. Okay, so you got to realize Lucerys and Arax freshly dead. The main reason why this is unacceptable by the blacks and they are in full legality to be mad at the greens for this is because Arax and Lucerys were an envoy. If you're unfamiliar with an envoy is during times of war, an envoy goes to sort of treat with the king or queen, right? And tells them these are our demands or this is what we would like. What are your terms? You know, here are our terms. What's your response to that, right? That's what a peace envoy is. And that's what Lucerys was when he was down there in Storm's End. He was going to check to see if they were going to be loyal to their word and remain, faithful to Queen Rhaenyra and not King Aegon II, who was just crowned in King's Landing, right? And he's killed. Brutally murdered by Aemond and Vhagar, right? That's what happens in canon. Now, what we saw on the TV show, that's exactly what happened, right? Exactly what happened. This is why I'm so excited talking about this, right? So you got to realize that even though Aemond didn't mean for that to happen, he's likely going to own it. You know why? Because if he were to act like it was a mistake, then he would be perceived as weak. Now, he probably will tell his mother and potentially Sir Otto, and maybe the Greens behind closed doors that, it was an accident. My dragon got away from me. Vhagar is an ancient beast. I couldn't wield her power, and I lost control of her, and she murdered Lucerys and Arax, and now the war's kicked off, and it's kind of my fault, right? Like, he might say those words to his mother and potentially his grandfather, Sir Otto, behind closed doors, but trust me, Aegon is going to be like, good job, brother. Good on you, right? Because that's what he does in canon. He literally, as soon as Aemond gets back with the news, Alicent sort of scorns him, but Aegon's like, hell yeah, that's what's up. You know what I mean? He's like, finally, something's happening. You know what I mean? So what ends up happening after this is a trap, all right? As a result of the war getting started, there's this little castle known as ROOKS Rest, right? That is not too far from King's Landing. And that's one of the first places the Greens attacks because they are still loyal to the Blacks. Their plan is to make anybody who's still loyal to Rhaenyra that's around them regret that decision and come over to their side. And remember, we saw that in episode 9, right? So Rhaenyra, the people that were still in the Red Keep, that were still loyal to Rhaenyra, were locked up, and they were given the chance to bend the knee to Aegon. Remember, a couple of them didn't, right? They were hung, right? So, with that being said, it's a trap, right? So the Greens are like, let's attack these Rhaenyra loyalists that are right outside, not necessarily right outside, but they're just slightly to the north of King's Landing. It's not a far trek at all, right? Especially when you're on Dragonback. And obviously, the inhabitants of ROOKS Rest, send word to Rhaenyra over on Dragonstone. Remember, King's Landing, Dragonstone, ROOKS Rest, it's not really that far at all. It's still in the Crown Lands, right? So Dragonstone King's Landing right across from each other. Rook's Rest is right north of King's Landing, so of course Dragonstone is close, right? So basically the inhabitants of Rook's Rest send out ravens. They say, Rhaenyra, come help us. We're loyal to you. Please help us. Send dragons, please. Rhaenyra just lost her kid, right? She just lost Visenya, the stillbirth, and Lucerys. So she's kind of out of it. And she's like, the book doesn't say the words that I'm about to say exactly, but the idea that's given to us is that she's out of it. She's too lost in her own pain and emotions to really do anything about Rook's Rest. So eventually what happens is her war councils are led by Rhaenys and Corlys, and Rhaenys and Corlys decide that Rhaenys is going to go to Rook's Rest to help them out, right? They've got greens, and they've got the greens and their dragons attacking, or their one dragon, they think it's just one, right? Sunfire, attacking their fleet. So Meleys is like thinking, Rhaenys is thinking that Meleys could handle this one dragon. Meleys is one of the biggest dragons at the time, right? And also she's known as the Red Queen of the Scarlet Fury because she's such a good fighter. Red dragons are the best fighters of all the different colored species of dragons, right? That's been confirmed through Bloodworm, yes. Caraxes, right? Caraxes takes out Vhagar. Vhagar is like 3 times the size of, or a size and a half up from Caraxes. And then also Meleys. Meleys, in this battle that I'm about to explain, fights 2 dragons, right? So anyway, Rhaenys and Corlys are running Rhaenyra's war councils. They decide, let's go help the people of Rook's Rest. So Rhaenys goes out by herself on Dragonback. Now, if Rhaenyra was with it and leading the council, and this is all in canon, we haven't seen what they're going to do for the TV show, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty close to this. But in canon, if Rhaenyra was with it in a part of the war council, she would have sent a few more dragon riders with Rhaenys, but she didn't do that. So Rhaenys goes herself. She's solo dolo. Hang on, I hear my daughter crying. I'll be right back. Okay, so once Meleys arrives at Rook's Rest, this is when she realized, it's a trap, Admiral Akbar. It's a trap, right? Guess what the trap is? 2 dragons, not 1. It's 1v2, right? So Fire and Blood is a history book. So the description we're given of this battle is pretty quick. It literally just says Rhaenys notices that the odds are against her, looks up, gives a glad crack of her whip, and flies in the battle, willingly know that she's probably going to die, but she just accepts the fact that she's got to do this, right? She puts her honor above, or her duty and honor above everything else, and she just commits to it and flies into battle. And what happens is, as soon as Meleys closes its jaws around Sunfire's neck, Vhagar comes in and bum rushes the 2 of the dragons, so Meleys and Sunfire, so that's Aegon rides Sunfire, and Rhaenys rides Meleys. They're locked into battle. Meleys is winning. Meleys is about to murder Sunfire by closing its jaws around its neck and ripping its head off. But then Vhagar, who was flying up, comes down, crashes into them midair, and then all of the dragons go tumbling to the ground. Meleys dies in the tumble. Aegon 2 jumps off of Sunfire right before Sunfire hits the ground, and this is where Aegon breaks his legs. And then in that scuffle, there's flames, right? Aegon's armor gets burned so badly that it actually melts and fuses to his skin. He's out for a year after this battle, right? He's literally drinking milk of the poppy the whole time, and he sleeps every 10 hours out of 12, right? So he's only awake for a few hours a day. And during that time, that's when Aemon becomes Prince Regent. He becomes literally King Aemon, but not in title. Aemon never takes the title of king, even though he is, because his brother's on his deathbed, and everybody thinks he's going to die, right? So Aemon, being his brother's heir because blood and cheese happens that wipes out Jaehaerys, right? Who would have been Aegon's direct heir, and obviously Jaehaerys is a little kid, so he would have had a regent anyway, but this is where Aemon steps up to the plate. So, what they're filming right now, and I think it's Trujillo or Caceres, right? I think that Caceres. I don't know. Los Siete Reinos doesn't. Well, no, they did. Yeah, they covered all that. I'm trying to think. Like, I think they mentioned. No, someone commented. That's what it was. Someone commented on my video earlier this morning and told me that I'm putting the emphasis on ER in Caceres, like eres, but it's really supposed to be sort of spoken fluently like Ceres, and then Ca. So Caceres, not Caceres. I don't know, working on my Spanish. So I know the image that I just put up beside me is Meleys' head with the tarp over it, but that's because Meleys' head with the blue foam and spikes sticking out to show you how big it is for CGI and post-production stuff. those could get the video flagged. I've already put these pictures in a video that I did yesterday. Right? It's been 24 hours and nothing happened. So anyway, go look on my community section. I posted the actual images there. Today is filming day. Yesterday was rehearsal. So today, the picture of the head is in full effect. The foam casting of it is. So just to give people in post-production an idea of how to render it. And also the people that are acting in the scene, they know where to look, what to look at, how to react to stuff, right? So, in canon, what happens after this is Rhaenys dies. Like, her corpse is never fully identified, but a blackened, charred corpse is found right next to Meleys, right? Meleys' head is removed, marched through the streets of King's Landing, and what they're going to do for the TV show is put Jaehaerys' funeral that happens with blood and cheese mixed in with that. It could be a few episodes apart, but it seems like since they're filming these scenes so close together, it could be like these scenes may be in the same episode, right? But that could also be wrong. So one of the other things that's I think kind of interesting is that I've had some people send me some leaks through the DMs, right? And they told me that apparently Rhaenys will survive the fall and just will sort of try to crawl away crippled and broken and stuff. But then Sunfire, who survived the fall as well, Sunfire just can't fly for a while. It has to wait until its wings heal, and then it feasts on the corpse that are left over from the Battle of ROOKS Rest, right? And then eventually it heals and then flies to Aegon, who's hiding out in Dragonstone. But before that, the leaked information that I was sent told me that Rhaenys is going to be eaten alive. And I really like that. Like, I love Rhaenys. I'm Team Blacks. I'm also Team Greens. I'm Team A Song of Ice and Fire, baby. Team Small Folk, right? But that would be insanely hard to watch. And remember, Aegon's going to get a triumphant parade because in House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 9, Rhaenys busted up the floor and killed all those small folk. And she was on Meleys. So Meleys' head being marched through the streets of King's Landing makes a lot of sense. Makes a bunch of sense. Even though that event didn't happen in the books, we're now seeing the payoff of some of the choices that the writers make. That, to be honest, you can go back and watch my video. I hated that decision because Rhaenys is not someone who would murder innocent small folk. That's not in her book character. But here we are, filming Season 2, and it's now paying off. So this gives me a little bit more trust in the writers. Not that I didn't have all 100% faith in the writers, because most of it's responsible, or most of the writing on the show is, damn Ryan Condal and George Martin himself are responsible for it. So yeah, I hope you like this. Go watch the leak video from yesterday if you want more leaked pictures and details, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, because I'm always posting there, and I don't have to worry about copyright strikes on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram. So,